There's a baiting system. Okay, you bait to get other people to interested into what's going on. But it's, by the way, it's also very important that if you bait somebody, they actually have to come. Meaning they have to come and appreciate the content, because if you just bait people just randomly and then they don't have decent content, then what are you driving me nuts about, right?
Don wants a little recap, Rabbi.
What's that?
Don wants a little recap.
He wants a recap of what?
Just a little review. Just a short review.
Recap of yesterday? You think that we have it on? It's available on YouTube. You could just watch it on YouTube.
I will watch it. Can you give a little bit?
Okay. So first of all, we'll give a bit of a recap from yesterday. But in addition, we will be going further, obviously. And I wanted to mention a little bit why we're a little bit late today. Why we're a little late today? It's Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh is the first day of the lunar month, of the Jewish month. And it is the first day of which Chodesh? Chodesh Av. Av is the name of this Chodesh. What does Av actually mean? Father. Good. Now, I'm going to explain a little bit about the Chodesh Av, the month of Av. I also do want to mention, I forgot what I was going to mention. Oh, we wanted to tell the viewers, we're still live? Mm-hmm. All right. We wanted to make sure that the viewers know that you can comment in the comments, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, we have it on a few different platforms, but on each one of these platforms, if you put a comment, it will come up on our computer, and if it's something that we feel is engageable, we will engage with you. And so you could actually participate not only by watching this class live, you can actually participate practically by being involved in the class. Okay? So please get involved. Please do your commenting, and we'll deal with that. As by the way, even if you missed the live class and you're watching this as a replay, you should know that I do check the comments every day or so, and if you put in a good question, a good comment, I might engage with you, not necessarily live on the screen, because that just doesn't work. I can't go in a time machine, Time machines were not invented yet, okay? I know some people think they might have been, but not yet. And so I can't go back and engage with you retroactively. I must 100% do it on with my fingers and typing, all right? Also, by the way, all of you that are on YouTube, you have to make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. This way you will be notified every single time that we start a shir, okay? Now, we said that today is Rosh Chodesh. That's why we started a little later than usual. It's Rosh Chodesh Av, the first day of Av. Av, we actually call it Menachem Av, which means the consoling of Av, because there were a few sad things that happened in Av, including the destruction of both temples that happened on the 9th of Av, including the Meraglim, when the spies in the desert gave a bad report to the Jews about the land of Israel. They told them, listen, I'm not sure if you can handle these guys. By the way, we're learning the opponents of Jews in Israel are very, very powerful and very, very, they're not easy to fight, man. There's a lot of people that care that the Jews are here in Israel. I mean, they're like, if the Jews are in Israel, then what? What's the big deal if we're here? What's going on? What do you care if we're here? Right? For some reason, there's people that really bothers them that the Jews are here in Israel.
Yeah, it's come up before.
It's come up before. I don't know, these people, they're trying to throw it as bombs. They're trying to, who knows what. As a matter of fact, yesterday I was in my bed, and my wife got up in the middle of the night to close the window, and it was like, it made like a noise. And I jumped out of bed. I'm like, uh-oh, what's going on here? Right? I thought that maybe it was an alarm, because we have the alarms that tell us to... The alarms to tell us to go to the shelter. I actually thought we were being alarmed. It was very scary. It was my wife shutting the window. Right? And because of that, I had to wake up in the middle of the night, because there were times where the alarms actually were real, and we actually had to run to the shelter. Anyways, it's a little bit of a, I wouldn't say frightening time, but a nervous time here in Israel. And Bezrat Hashem, we actually told that the month of Av is actually... What's the month of Av? The month of Av, even though it is the day, it's the month that the temple was destroyed, there are those that say that this is the month as well that the temple will be rebuilt in the month of Av. Okay, so if you're ready to build the temple, All right? I'm ready to build a temple if they let us. Who do we have to ask? Huh? We have to ask Mashiach. Huh? Mashiach. Mashiach, where's Mashiach? Okay? Anybody out there know where Mashiach is? Put it in the comments if you know where Mashiach is.
It's right here.
Huh?
Right here.
Where?
Here.
I want to see him. I don't
I
care if
think
he's
he's
here.
on an LL
Each
flight.
one of us are.
He's on one of the El Al
He's
flights?
on an LL flight from Texas right now.
From Texas?
Yeah,
El Al flight from Texas. You want me to wear these? Let me see how they look. Okay, tell me how they look on me. I can't see because my glasses are so strong that I put these on.
Yo, you're styling, Rabbi.
You look like Steven Seagal.
Those are great. Changes the whole vibe. The whole vibe of the class is different.
Anyways, can I know how to? That didn't even get us any viewers. What's the point? I thought maybe.
They're coming.
Huh? They're coming. They're coming. They're coming. All right. Anyways, let's go back to what we're saying. Yeah, so there are those that say that the temple will be rebuilt in this month, and it's actually very possible because they keep on shooting missiles at us. Iran is threatening to shoot a bunch of missiles at us, and they want to shoot it at Jerusalem as well. Maybe they just might shoot a missile at that, whatever that is on the place of the temple, and if they happen to get lucky enough, it'll knock it down, and then we can build a temple. Again, I don't want to sound controversial here. No, I do want to sound controversial, let's to be honest. But no, I do. But the point is that I wouldn't say to go on the Temple Mount and destroy that building in order to build a temple, because that's, we don't start fights. We don't have the rights to start fights. But if they knock it down anyways, then that's their fault. They knocked it down, then we can do our job, right? No, it's true, by the way. Do you know Abraham, when he came to the land of Israel, he was told by God that the land of Israel is his. And therefore, he felt that he had the right to the entire land of Israel. Yet, he paid big bucks to buy the burial plot in Hebron for his wife. Why did he pay money if he believed he owned it himself? And you know what? I don't know if you know this, but they actually offered it to Abraham for free. Yeah, they offered it for free. So they're offering it for free. He believes he owns it. Why on earth would anybody pay for a piece of land that they believe they own when they're actually being offered it for free? So Abraham realized that even though God promised him the land of Israel, okay, doesn't mean that you can do a hostile takeover. Okay, and by the way, that's actually one of the reasons, okay, one of the reasons that the Jewish people, that certain religious people today don't accept the state of Israel and even try to argue with the existence of state of Israel is because Jews, even though all Jews, including those very people that are opposed to the state of Israel, all Jews believe that the land of Israel is the native land that the Jewish people promised to us by God, and it is ours. The only question is, do the Jewish people have the right to take it over in a violent way or not? That's the whole question. That's the whole question that we're dealing with right now, is do the Jews have the right to take over the land of Israel in a hostile way, right? And the simple answer is no. No, we're not allowed to take over the land of Israel in a hot. When Moses came, he had a direct command from God, and by the way, he didn't do it, Joshua did. But Joshua was a prophet, and as a prophet of God, he was told specifically to take it over, even using violence. However, in order to take over the land of Israel properly, according to the Torah, we need a properly certified prophet. And a properly certified prophet in Judaism is not an easy feat. It doesn't just happen, properly certified prophets. No, the reason why the Jewish people didn't accept a lot of people that other people accepted as prophets, right, is because we have a certification process. Most of the world, if you want to certify a prophet, you know what you have to do to be a certified prophet? Get a couple idiots to believe you're a prophet. That's the way to become a certified prophet in the world, okay? Get a couple of idiots to believe you're a prophet, and once they believe you're a prophet, then you know what you can do? You can basically convince people that are a little less idiots that you're a prophet. Because, hey, they believe in a prophet, so maybe not them. What about them? Right?
You get government tax.
Huh?
Then you get government tax.
You get government tax benefits. Why does a prophet get
No, look at the Church of Scientology.
Scientology? But they got kicked off. They got kicked off of benefits as a non-for-profit. Oh, and then they fought and they got let back on because it was too difficult. No, but it wasn't easy for them, by the way. They had to fight very hard. But I'm not going to get into that. That's
the whole thing started with the South Park episode.
What? Who? Scientology started with
The South Park episode.
a what?
South Park episode.
South Park episode? I don't even know what South Park is. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. You might think that I'm super, ignorant. I don't know what South Park is. What's South Park? Could anybody help me out here? Maybe put in the comments. What's South Park?
No, what they made.
Huh? Somebody help me out here. My student over here is like South Park. I'm like, what is South Park? I don't know what it is. It's a cartoon. All right. Is it a good cartoon?
Great cartoon.
Good. Let's get back to the point. I want to get back to the point over here. Okay, we're getting off point. Okay, the Jewish people are not allowed to forcefully take over Israel unless they have a certified prophet, and being a certified prophet is not so easy. It's not that anybody that wants could stand up and say, I'm a prophet, and we have to believe they're a prophet. That's not the way it works. Okay? There's a whole process. There's a whole, we check them, we ask them, we need to make them prove themselves. I'm not going to get into that because it's a separate lesson. Okay? We're not allowed to take over the land of Israel in a hostile way, and that's that, without a prophet, and we don't yet have a prophet that told us to take over Israel in a hostile way. That is why many Jews, they believe that it is prohibited for the Jewish nation to take over Israel in a hostile way, and that's why they're against the state of Israel. However, there's a few different points to this. Number one, did the Jews take over Israel in a hostile way or not? No. Dan Tzaddik says they didn't. No. What do you mean? What about all the wars that Israel's having? They're not hostile?
They are hostile because we are allowed to defend ourselves. But also,
so if you actually look at that, what's that?
But we also pay for land. I mean, at high price too.
Okay, so there's a good argument that the Jewish people never took over the land of Israel in a hostile way. We never did it. Never happened. Again, but who gives the UN the right to take over the land? It's not so simple. I don't like the argument of the UN because the UN has no right to give away other people's land. So when we stand there and say, oh, the UN gave us the land, well, who the heck are you, Mr. UN, to give away the land? Okay, no, you don't have the right to the land. Who gives you the right to take over the land? Okay, the truth is that the Jewish people began, well, there was always Jewish people that lived in Israel. There was never a time in history that there were not Jewish people that lived in Israel. There was always Jewish people that lived in Israel. Always was. And always will be, Bezrat Hashem. Okay?
5,000-ish years.
Well, ever since we came, the Jews were always here. Okay? Now, in the 20th century, when the Zionist movement came big, initially the Zionist movement were not coming and taking over lands with arms. They actually were moving to Israel. They were buying land. They were setting up communities. Okay? They were not taking over the land in a hostile way. Now what happened is that our neighbors, cousins, whatever you want to call them, over here in Israel, they didn't like the fact that there was this massive movement of Jews moving to Israel, okay, that were peacefully purchasing the land and settling the land. That's the fact. That's what happened in the early 19th century. Now the early 20th century. So Jews were moving to Israel, buying land, settling the land, building Jewish communities, and our neighbors didn't like that. So they tried to kick us out. And if you actually look historically, people say 1948. No, in 1929, look, in 1929, there was a massive pogrom where people in the name of Al-Aqsa Mosque went and murdered Jews. They tried to murder Jews in Jerusalem, but what happened was there was a massive a militia that protected the Jewish people in Jerusalem. They then went to Hebron, and in Hebron they massacred something like 70 people for nothing, right? Now it was in 1929. These were the people in Hebron that were massacred. They bought their houses, they purchased their houses fair and square. They were actually registered under the Ottoman Empire, which was a Muslim caliphate. They were registered under the Ottoman Empire as purchasing pieces of land, yet they were killed not because they were stealing land, but they were killed because they were Jews. Now, what happened is once we had a problem, what was the problem? Once we had a problem that the Jews that were living here peacefully were being attacked and killed, so then they had to defend themselves. They had no choice but to defend themselves. And the only proper method that they figured out was necessary to defend themselves was to create an official country. Right? Now, if that's the case, did the Jews make a hostile takeover of the land of Israel? The answer is no. We were forced by the facts on the ground to defend ourselves, which in fact is why we took up arms. We didn't take up arms to steal Israel or to take Israel. Again, even though we believe it is ours, we believe that Israel was always ours. However, we believe that it's not right to take it over in a hostile way. But we weren't taking it over in a hostile way. We moved here in a peaceful way. Then we were attacked and we were forced to defend ourselves. Now that is not included in the prohibition. Meaning if you need to defend yourself, you have the right to defend yourself. Right? Now if the Jews came and kicked Arabs out of the land just for the sake of kicking them out, then that would be wrong. And it's something that the Jews would have to deal with. The only question is if we've ever done that. And I haven't yet seen in history where we did that. Even though there were certain wars where we did kick Arabs out of their land, but the question is, did we kick them out because we were trying to take over the land, or did we kick them out because that was the only strategy that the army saw to maintain peace? Okay, and the proof of that is we didn't kick the Arabs out of every place that they were. We only kicked the Arabs out of certain very particular places that they were. Some of them we gave them back. Some we didn't give them all. Let's be honest. We didn't give it all back. But the fact is that we didn't kick all the Arabs out. We kicked certain Arabs out of areas that we felt that strategically we could not have them there and maintain peace. All right.
What if it comes up in the comments about settlements?
What's that?
Settlements.
Again, as I said, the Jewish people are prohibited from, even though we believe we rightfully own the entire land of Israel, okay, we're prohibited from taking over land by use of violence. Now, any use of violence to take over land is actually prohibited by Jewish law and should not be done. The only question is when and if that's actually happening, and you have to look at each case. It's not so simple. For example, many of the settlements were started on unoccupied land. They say, they basically saw no one was using this mountain, right? So they went in and they started building houses and they started building farms, etc. They didn't go, put it this way, if there was, say, for example, an Arab living somewhere and the Jews came and kicked him out of his house randomly for no reason other than to take over his land, that would be 100% prohibited by Jewish law, and if it happened, we need to deal with it. And again, I'm not getting into particular situations because I didn't do enough research to decide whether that happens a lot, whether it happens a little bit, etc. Okay? I'm not sure. Okay? But if it does, if Arabs were kicked out of the land only for the purpose of taking their land, that would be 100% prohibited by Judaism, and I'm not sure that ever happened in the land of Israel, in the recent past. Okay? As I said, it's very different when you're kicking somebody out because he's posing a danger to you. Right? So you're not kicking him out because you want to steal his land. You're kicking him out because he himself is posing a danger on you, which is his fault. Okay? And if he was not posing a danger, we wouldn't kick him out. Right? And as somebody here mentioned, we have, what's his name? Blind Watchmaker. Mr. Blind Watchmaker points out very, very importantly, there's over 1 million citizens, Arab citizens in Israel. Okay? Which means that we're obviously not kicking, if they're willing to live with us peacefully, we are not allowed to kick them out, even though we believe we own the land. We're not allowed to kick them out because there's a concept of maintaining peace. I wouldn't say maintaining status quo, but it's more about maintaining peace, that Jewish people are commanded not to do anything that disrupts peace. Now again, sometimes you're in a situation where you're stuck and you don't have a choice. And that's when you need to defend yourself, and that's a separate situation, and you have to really think about when it's just and when it's not just. All right? Anyways, I don't know how we got into this, but thanks for listening. By the way, you can feel free to ask any questions in the comments. If you comment and question live, we may actually mention you, like we mentioned Mr. Blind Watchmaker. He has a question. Was I kicked out of the last chat for a particular reason? You kick them out?
I don't
We don't
think
remember
kicked you
kicking
out.
you out of the chat, so I think maybe your computer kicked you out of the chat or the system kicked you out of the chat. My moderator says we never kicked you out of the chat, Mr. Blind Watchmaker. Please join, etc. Maybe we closed the whole discussion. I'm not sure, but we definitely.
Sometimes we turn the chat off and then we go to a different topic. But
No, but we would have seen it. We would have seen it. I don't think we did kick them off. We would have seen it. We have, yeah. Anyways, yeah. Okay. Anyways, back to the Gemara. Dan Sadiq asked us to give us a bit of a recap. Okay, a bit of a recap on what's going on here. Very important. We are talking about the laws of Shabbat. How do we go from the laws of Shabbat to Israeli politics? I have no clue, other than the fact that in Tzfat, in the north of Israel, the war is always on our head over here because, if we don't think of the war on our head, it might actually fall on our head because there's unfortunately, there were bombs that landed here in the recent past. Hopefully they won't land again. Bezrat Hashem, we're going to march forward and we're going to be victorious with the coming of the Mashiach, the true Messiah, who's going to bring the Jewish people back to Israel and basically give us all of our land. The whole ancient Israel is going to be brought back to us, a Messiah. And by the way, in a peaceful way. We believe that the true Messiah is going to figure out a peaceful way to convince whoever's living here that doesn't belong here to move out, whether it's by paying them, whether it's by giving them spiritual perspective that'll say, hey, hold on a second. Right? Maybe he'll give them some spiritual enlightenment. They'll be like, listen, I'm not meant to be there. I'm not Jewish. I'm meant to be in Jordan. I'm meant to be in Egypt. I'm meant to be here. And by the way, in Judaism, we believe the Messianic era is not here to hurt people. The Messianic era is actually for the benefit of everybody, whether you believe or not. Okay, I know some religions, they're like, hey, if you believe, then we're going to help you. If not, we won't. What a loving God. He only loves you if you listen to him, right? Imagine somebody says, listen, I'm a loving parent. I really care about your kid, right? But if you don't listen to what I say, I'm throwing you out of the house and I'm getting a mobster to beat the heck out of you for the rest of your life, for eternity. For eternity. I'm going to call a mobster and he's going to beat the daylights out of you for eternity just because you didn't listen to me. What a loving father, I must say. Loving, he's so loving. What a loving. Anyways, the Jewish people do not believe that. The Messianic era, we believe, is actually going to be the benefit of every single human being. And part of the Messianic era is Messiah enlightening us with a perspective of godliness where people will want and actually do what they're meant to do. They won't have to be forced to do so. All right? That being said, let's continue on to the Gemara about Shabbat. The laws of Shabbat, as we said, rabbinically, not biblically, rabbinically there's a law called muktzeh. You know what muktzeh is? What's muktzeh?
something that's not used for the purpose of Shabbos?
Something that is not able to be used for Shabbat. Right? Now, the rabbi said if you have an object, for example, let's say you have on a mountainside, you have a whole bunch of stones. They're just sitting there doing nothing. Okay? They're sitting there, no one's ever thought about them, no one's ever considered using them for Shabbat. That's called muktzeh. Why? Because no one ever considered using it on Shabbat. And therefore, you're not allowed to move it from its place. You have to leave it exactly where it is. You can't touch it on Shabbat. Again, this is a rabbinic requirement, not a biblical requirement. Right? Now, we're going to get into an argument. We're going to get into an argument as to what is muktzah. And we're going to give you a few different options. Now, if you listen carefully, especially those of you who haven't learned some Talmud and you're watching from who knows where in the world. By the way, you can put in the comments where in the world you're coming from or where you're watching from. We'd be very happy to hear. But in reality, sorry, where am I? I got lost. Muktzah. Okay, the laws of muktzah on Shabbat. Oh, we have somebody from Texas. Who's from Texas over here? We have somebody from Texas here too, no? No one's here from Texas? He's from Texas. Anyways, if you live in Texas, you have at least 2-3 guns in here in Israel. Not so easy to get guns unless you're in the army. Then when you're 18, they give you a gun. And then once you get out of the army, it's very hard to get a gun. Right. Yeah, of course they take it away. You could apply for a license. And many people do have it, but it's not so easy. Huh? No, absolutely not. No. They only let you keep your gun if you're still in some form of active duty. or maybe on call, etc. All right? Good. I know. So again, if a person lives in a dangerous place in Israel, they will be given they will be given a license for a gun. If you're not in a dangerous place, for example, Tzfat, which is very safe, besides for the fact that missiles land here, but at least there's no immediate threat of somebody coming and shooting up the place. Thank God. What? There are Arabs here. There's a university right over here, right down the corner. There's a university. 60% Arabs are coming right by our yeshiva every single day. Right? Yeah, a whole bunch of them.
There's a lot of Arabs that are peaceful, like the Druze who just got hit by a rocket from Hezbollah.
Right.
There's a lot of different kinds of Arabs. There's Arabs who are Israeli citizens who are proud to be citizens, right? There's other Arabs who will do anytime they have an opportunity to kill a Jew.
Let's just do the numbers. For example, there's over 1 million Arabs that are Israeli citizens. Okay, and only a couple of hundred of them have actually been found to try to kill Jews. An overwhelming majority of these Arabs are not trying to kill Jews, right? And they're very nice, right? And as I said, there's a university right here, right around the corner. They pass us all the time, right outside here. Hundreds, if not thousands, of Arabs just walking right in front of our street over here. And as I said, this city is considered safe, that we don't think any of those Arabs are going to shoot us up. The reason is because most of the Arabs that want to shoot people up, they usually try to go to Jerusalem, they try to go to Tel Aviv, they try to go to busier places, but we still are in the threat of being attacked by missiles. Anyways, we keep on getting sidetracked, but that's that. Yeah, what? What's that? He's still trying to figure out what's the actual Talmud going to say. As I told, by the way, I'll tell everybody, the viewers as well as the people in the class, you learn everything about Judaism except the Gamara that we're meant to be learning, because we get very sidetracked over here, which is sometimes the most interesting information. But we do have to learn the Gamara a little bit. Please, guys, stick around. We're going to get to some very good discussions in the Gamara as well. Please stick around and share. By the way, if you're on Facebook, share this to all your friends. Comment, and we have some commenters over here that have been part of our conversation, and you can join the conversation as well by commenting in any of the platforms that you're on. We get your comments, right? Even Kick? Yeah, we do get Kick. He's on Kick, this guy. All right, this blind watchmaker. All right, how you make watches if you're blind?
You gotta be really talented.
Really talented. Anyways, no, we're not going to let that sidetrack us again. Okay. Anyways, back to what we're saying. Muksa. The concept of muksa on Shabbos is a very important concept. You're not allowed to move something that was not designated for Shabbat. Now, there's a massive dispute over here. What is considered set aside? What is set aside and not usable on Shabbat? Okay? Is it something that you didn't intend to use, or is it something that you intended not to use? That's two things. Number 3 is, are you allowed to move something you intended to use for the purpose of something that you didn't intend to use? You understand? Again, let's just say this cup. You intended to use this to drink. But let's say you didn't intend this to use to hit your kid over the head with it. Are you allowed? No, chas v'shalom. But you did intend to deal with your kids, so that wouldn't count. No, let's say you intended to use the coffee cup for coffee, but you had zero intention of using this coffee cup to, drum on the table. Well, the table's also used. It has to be something that's not usable. You know what? Let's say you didn't intend to use the coffee to pick up a stone. Okay, now you're not going to pick up the stone, but you see a stone rolling down the hill, and you want to put your cup of coffee to catch that stone. Now the fact is, the stone is muksa, because the stone, no one ever wanted to use the stone. Since no one ever wanted to use the stone, right, therefore, you're trying to move something that you intended to use for something that you didn't intend to use, right? And that is actually the initial part of the Gemara. The initial part of the Gemara is basically, we started with Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda basically said that you're not allowed to put a vessel, to catch an egg that's being laid from the chicken. You're not allowed to do that. You cannot put a vessel under to catch the rolling egg of a chicken. Did anybody over here ever, they were on the farm maybe, and when they were on the farm, all of a sudden they see this egg rolling down the hill and they want to catch it to make sure it doesn't crack. You ever saw that happen? You ever been to a chicken farm?
No.
Me neither. Actually, I have been to a chicken farm. But they usually set it up better than that. Yeah. They usually set it up that the egg rolls into the right place. Now, in order for you to have to catch the egg that's rolling, the egg has to be rolling. We're talking about a chicken laying an egg in a place that is going to roll. Do you think a chicken's going to lay an egg in a place that's going to roll down? Huh? What's that? A chicken is not going to lay an egg in a place where it's going to roll down the hill and crack. Because a chicken, as stupid as they are, they're not that stupid. Right? They're not going to lay an egg in a place where it's going to crack. Now, it's not normal. Since it's not normal, you never intended to have to use a bowl to collect an egg that's rolling down the hill. And therefore, on Shabbat, you're not allowed to do it because even though you're allowed to move the bowl, but you're not allowed to move it for the purpose of the egg, which you're not intending, which you never intended to have to use a bowl to catch the egg on Shabbat. Yeah, you get that done, Sadiq?
Just imagining if I was there, similarly watching this conversation take place in front of me.
Yeah. Well, that's what's going on, right? Basically, what he says. First of all, let's understand. Rav Chisda basically said you're not allowed to move a bowl to catch the egg, but you're allowed to move a bowl to put it on top of an egg, right? Meaning you can cover the egg with the bowl, but you can't put it under, right? Now, Rabbah says that the reason is because very often a chicken will lay an egg in a place that it could get cracked. That will happen. Sometimes a chicken will lay an egg in a place that the egg might crack. So you're allowed to cover it with a bowl on Shabbat because it's normal that the egg would be laid there.
Are you allowed to eat the egg?
No, because it's called noilod. But that's a separate discussion. Judaism is flippin' complicated, man. Any of you Jews out there, by the way? We have a lot of people watching. Any of you Jewish?
No, because it would make a difference.
Huh? No, everybody at the class I know is Jewish. Why else would you come to my class if you're not Jewish? By the way, if you were not Jewish and you came to my class, maybe. Right? Somebody once came to me, he says, could I become Jewish? I said, just pull down your pants, we'll make a quick chop, and that's it. No, it's not that easy. That was a joke. That was a joke. You want another one? I'll do it again. You know? We'll figure out something to cut. We can always find something else to cut. And anyways.
What does lehatil mean?
Mr. Blind Watchmaker, we'll get to you in a second. I see you're asking some good questions. We'll get to you in a second. And by the way, anybody else that wants to comment, and we might include your comments, your questions in the conversation.
Because you're not going to use it on Shabbos, the egg?
What?
You can't eat the egg, but be able to anyway because you're not allowed to eat the egg on Shabbos?
Again, let's deal with what Rabba's saying. Rabba's saying you can't catch the egg because it's not normal for the egg to come rolling down. That you can't do. But you could cover the egg because it is normal for a chicken to lay an egg in a place where it might get destroyed. Okay, that's what he says. Now Abaya comes and challenges him one time over the next, over the next, over the next, and that's what you're going to keep on seeing. You're going to keep on seeing one challenge, another challenge, until we wipe everybody off the map. Can I know how to? What? Who are we wiping off the map?
Klippas.
You're going to put me in, you know what they're going to do to me over here. You're going to say, hey, Jewish people are trying to wipe everybody off the map. No, that's not what I said. Talking about everything else. Man, come on. Shush. Where's your brains? Why are you thinking like that? Huh?
What does lehatil mean?
Lahatil really means to lay. To kind of like, in this context, it's to lay the egg in that place. All right? So, we brought the first challenge, Eisvei. We see that you're not allowed to... we spoke about a barrel that cracks. A barrel that cracks on a roof. It says you're allowed to bring a bowl to collect the juices that are falling off the roof. Well, you're looking at me like, why would you want to collect the juices that fall off the roof? It was good wine, trust me. Sheesh, when you have good wine dripping down the roof, you're going to be like...
How do you get the wine on the roof that's dripping juice? We were just with eggs rolling down.
Okay, but the fact is, in both cases, we're moving... Correct. In both cases, we're moving a vessel to collect something. In the first case, we're moving a vessel to collect an egg. In this case, we're moving a vessel to collect the wine that's dripping off the roof.
And we cannot deny that.
And they're similar situations. Yeah.
No, they're not.
What are you talking about? They're both trying to collect something that's falling on Shabbat.
And typically, I pour wine off my roof.
And by the way, if it was good wine falling off the roof, I would be the first guy to try to drink it. Unless it was a really, really dirty roof.
Only if it was somewhat dirty, it's
Huh?
fine.
Then I would basically try to bring a filter. Then I would try to build a filter. I would bring a filter to try to filter the wine after Shabbat, because you can't filter the wine on Shabbat. Anyways, you see the similarity? In one place we told you you're not allowed to put the vessel to collect the egg that's rolling down the hill, but you are allowed to collect the wine that's dripping off the roof. Why? Because we're alcoholics. We're like, you could collect wine, but you can't collect an egg. What's wrong with you? Sheesh, that's messed up. As Mr. Where are you, Mr. Dirt ball? Where's our dirt ball over here? Anyways, okay. The similarity is we're both trying to collect wine. We're both. No, we have one of our followers here. What's his dirt ball or dirt bag? Dirt ball. Where does he go? We're expecting your comments here. Yes. Where did he go? We got to find Mr. Dirtball. Huh?
He's right here.
So we could collect the wine from the roof with a vessel, but we can't collect the egg that's rolling down the hill. What's the difference? What's the difference between wine falling down from a roof and egg? What's it called?
The wine is more expensive.
Now, if we're going to say the wine you're allowed to do, right? Is it normal for a barrel to pop? Is it normal for a barrel to pop on your roof? No, it's not normal. Barrels don't usually pop.
Why is there a barrel on the roof?
Why is there a barrel on the roof? Because the fiddler was over there trying to drink it.
Only in Brooklyn.
Huh? Only in Brooklyn.
Can I make a guess?
What do you think? The fiddler was on the roof singing such crazy songs. He didn't have some wine with him? Of course he did.
Can I take a guess at why you're allowed to?
Why?
Because wine's kosher and you're going to think about it the loss of Shabbos.
Oh. Well, in either case, it's not normal for the barrel to pop. Not normal. Okay? Since it's not normal for the barrel to pop, we're saying that it can't be a situation where you're not allowed to move a vessel for something that you didn't expect. Right? Yeah.
Is that right?
What's right?
There's a machlokes in the
No, so that's a challenge of Abaye. Now the Gemara says,
machlokes in the chat room.
Begulfi chadati. Huh? Oh, Mr. Dirtball came. Can I know how to? There you go. What is he saying?
Say no barrel would break on a roof, but the idea, even if the heavens rain, but don't.
Huh? The heaven was raining wine? I wish. That would be really exciting.
Big machlokes over here.
Okay, well, the fact is that a normal barrel doesn't pop, and therefore we're challenging the perspective that something that you're not expecting, again, Rabbah says something that you're not expecting to use on Shabbat, you cannot bring a bowl to use it for it. You're not expecting the barrel to pop, therefore you shouldn't be allowed to move it on Shabbat for that reason. Right? Now, that seems to be a challenge, but the Gemara basically concludes we're talking about a new barrel, and sometimes new barrels pop. Old barrels that are nice and set, and they've been there for a while, and they're being used, these don't usually pop, but other barrels usually pop. Excuse me, what are you doing there? What, you just think they're watching the show, you think it's funny? Yeah. Yeah? Well, why don't you sit at the table? You're sitting up there on the stairs. What's wrong with you, man? You want to sit and watch and sit by the table. Don't hang out there in the corner and just peek, right? You're supposed to be learning something else. You're on a different program. I finished my questions. Oh, you finished your question? Sit down here and join the program. Don't sit up there in the corner as if you're hiding. Come on, man. Anyways, let's continue.
Wait, what is a dishkicha?
The shchichi is that it's found or that it's common. Okay? Shchiche. All right? Good. Then we said another thing about you're allowed to put a vessel under a candle to catch the sparks that fly off the candle. And we said that those are also very common, that sparks fly out from the candle and you need to protect it. We're going to go back and forth with various different challenges. We have another one, Eisvei. Let's read the next challenge. Eisvei. We learned, we have a challenge, seems to be from Abaye as well. You're allowed to put a bowl on top of a candle that it shouldn't light the beam on top of it. Again, now, why do you think a candle is going to light a beam on fire? Again, you never put a candle in your house and then you're oh my gosh, it might burn my ceiling. What's wrong with you? The ceiling's usually far away from the candle, no?
Yeah, but the part.
But what? Again, fire, usually when you have a candle, okay, you put it in a place where it's not going to burn the ceiling. So how is it a situation where you're going to have a candle in a place that you're afraid it's going to burn the ceiling? How's that going to happen?
Happens all the time.
Happens all the time.
It's in a box.
Huh?
A table with a bit of a plank.
So it says basically it's a very low house, right? Some houses are very high, some houses are very low. So in a high house, normal people have high houses, but some poor people have low houses. So again, if you look at over here, when we dismantle some of the challenges against Rabbah, in each of these situations, when we dismantle the challenge, you might notice that they're kind of like, yeah, it's maybe yes, maybe no. Meaning, like say, okay, a low house. Maybe it was talking about a high house. We said about a new barrel. Maybe it was talking about an old barrel, right? But the fact is, because we're trying to challenge, when we're trying to challenge somebody, we're basically trying to say you're wrong. And if you want to say you're wrong, you have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, which means if there's an argument, we have to accept it.
If it doesn't fit, you must.
All right, let's go briefly. We had something going on in the chat here that we wanted to speak about, or no? What do you say? Any good questions?
On Washington, I was asking before
Yeah.
about the Shabbat.
What about
It's not
Shabbat?
the purpose, but he thought the purpose should be to rest and contemplation of the Sabbath.
That's actually what it's about. And in order to ensure, okay, again, in general, there's two things. Okay, Shabbat, the Sabbath, is meant to be a day of rest and contemplation. In order to protect the, what would you call it? In order to protect the sanctity, in order to protect the whole concept of Shabbat, the dignity, in order to integrity, that's a good word. In order to protect the integrity of Shabbat, the Torah gives us many rules of what we cannot do. Okay? Biblically, we cannot do craft, right? We cannot make something. Okay? There's actually a massive mistake that, unfortunately, by the way, whoever this Isaac Shochat is, not sure where he is, but he does this all the time. He says crying eyes. It looks like he's trying to put on some smiley faces, and unfortunately, it's not really working very good for him. And it just comes out. It says eyes purple. Let's see, eyes purple, crying eyes, purple crying eyes, purple crying eyes, purple crying eyes, purple crying. No, I don't know what that means. Anyways, I want to tell you guys something interesting, because the people online, they're like, I don't like just joking around with this rabbi. He's, what are you going to doing? Yeah? Huh? What?
No.
What are you doing, dirtball? So funny. I'm trying to figure out what the joke is, but yeah. Anyways. He's in a deep meditative state that he's just laughing and laughing and laughing. That's what happens when you study some Talmud, by the way. It just makes you... Talmud. I actually wonder, how does speaking about a bowl, catching wine off a roof, have this effect? I have no idea.
He's
Right?
visualizing drinking the wine.
You're visualizing drinking the wine. He's so deeply that it's like his whole body is like reacting as if he's drunk because he drank the wine. Right? We're not allowed to drink wine except for Shabbat. We're not allowed to drink it.
Metaphor for a spiritual situation.
Let's go back. We're talking about we're talking about Shabbat and the integrity of Shabbat. The Torah there's a very big misconception that says that the Bible says not to work on the Sabbath. That's actually wrong. It does not say that anywhere. It does not use the word do not work. It uses the word do not craft. Crafting is when you're taking an object and making it into something else. When you're taking one thing and you're making it into something else. That is what the Bible prohibits, is crafting. Not working, but crafting. Now, that being said, as we said in a previous class, the rabbis felt that even though most normal people craft in order to make a living, you all have to craft. That's why we make a living. That's how you make a living. Usually when you're making a living, you're building something, you're creating something, you're making something, right? And therefore, it would be prohibited to do what most people do every day. However, there are many people that are lazy bums, and they just sit there doing nothing anyways. And therefore, we needed to ensure that they have an integral Shabbat, and that's why the rabbis added to the prohibition that we're not allowed to use anything that's not set aside for Shabbat itself. And then, of course, there's a rabbinic dispute as to what exactly falls into that category.
But this
Right?
topic before Shabbos, one thing, when you use this topic on Shabbos.
Well, in concept, the second you bought that coffee cup, you intended to use it indefinitely for the use of coffee. So therefore, that indefinite use includes Shabbat. Yeah. There we go. Anyways, good. What are we doing? Let's continue over here. We got to learn. By the way, for those of you who are learning it in the actual original Talmudic language, okay, in Chavrusa time, you're going to see that each one of these are just for the rest of the week. For the rest of the week, every single one of these is just going to be a challenge after another challenge after another challenge, trying to bring a situation where something is seemingly not normal, yet even though it's not normal, we let you use something for that purpose. And we're going to first, we spoke about the candle. Usually a candle, you don't need something to cover the roof. Usually the candle's far enough for the roof. We say, well, what about a low house, the shchichi blut pleka, that it's easy for it to light the roof and could cause a fire. Yeah, v'chein kodesh nishbara. It also says what happens if you have a beam. The beam of your roof broke. It just smashed down to the floor. That actually wasn't very good. It probably sounded horrible on the thing. Yeah. What's that? Anyways, good. He wants to know if we're teaching young men. Are you young?
At heart.
At heart, you're young?
No, actually not even at heart.
How old are you? You want to share? Or you're not interested?
531 later this year.
What?
Yeah.
That's pretty old. No, really, how old are you?
36.
36. And how old are you? 23 and? 23 and? As old as me. Okay, you don't want to. All right. By the way, I'm not that old either. Don't make me say, well, how old do you think I am? Right? How do you think I am?
38.
No, I'm only 41 years old. I'm young.
Your neshama is
My soul is younger at heart, right? And I still have this very interesting beard that I can play with. I can even make it look like this. No, it doesn't work now. Okay, good. Okay, good. Anyways, let's continue. We have a situation where we say if you have a beam of the roof fell and cracked and fell down to the floor, you're allowed to take a ladder or something else to hold up that beam. Now, if you hold up that beam, okay, sorry, did you plan for a beam to fall out from your roof? Is it normal that all of a sudden a beam falls down from the ceiling? No, it's not normal. So how could I move a ladder to hold up a beam, which I didn't plan on doing on Shabbat because I didn't plan on a beam falling down? Let the Gemara answer the question. It doesn't say. Again, it still seems to disprove Rabba's perspective. Yeah?
Because still, then why can't you use the bulb?
So he says over here, we're talking about a brand new roof, and very often a brand new roof, it will break. Brand new roof sometimes does break.
But still, it's still in conflict with the original point of why you cannot use the bowl to get the egg.
Why can you use what?
The bowl to get the egg.
Why not? Because you're not planning on using the egg, because you didn't even think an egg was going to come rolling down the hill.
Neither did I think the beam was going to break.
No, you
Did I
definitely
think
thought.
the wine was going to pop from the.
Well, again, the egg case is the case that case is the case of Rav Chisda. The egg case is Rav Chisda said. Rabbah, here's what you have to follow. Again, Rav Chisda brought the case with the egg. Okay? Rabbah said that the reason for Rav Chisda is that you could move something for something that's normal to happen, but not something that's not normal to happen. Then we challenged him. We challenged him with the fact that it spoke about the wine. We said it's not normal for a barrel to pop. Then we said, yeah, it is normal for a new barrel to pop. It was talking about a new barrel. Then we said, well, what about catching the sparks of a candle? We said, well, it is normal for sparks of a candle to spark out. Then we said, well, what about the fact that you're allowed to put a bowl on top of a candle to protect the roof when it's not normal for fires to catch onto the roof from a candle? The answer is that, so we said, well, we're talking about a very low roof where the candle could catch, and it is normal for it to catch on the roof. Then we said, well, what about the situation where we said if a beam fell down from your ceiling, you could hold it up with a ladder or a bed or something else? And we said, yeah, we're talking about a situation where it's a new beam. New beam, sometimes people know in advance that when you put up a beam the first time, it might fall. And by the way, that was in those days. Today, I don't know how it works. Today, usually they know what they're doing to begin with. Yeah? What's that?
I said, I hope I live in a city.
Right, right, yeah. You hope that the beams don't fall in the city, especially that those are what's holding you up. But in the olden days, if you put up a house, you knew that the first week, the first month, it could be that the beam will fall down on your head, right? And so therefore, once again, we prove that it's possible that it's something that is known, yeah? Now we have another challenge. It says, Neisen kli tachas hadelef b'Shabbat, yeah? You are allowed to put a kli to catch dripping water on Shabbat, okay? Shalom Louise Cox. I think that's his name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his name. It's a nice name. Yeah.
You can put a clean
Huh?
catch a what on Shabbat?
A delif is
Delef is like when they're dripping from the thing. Yeah.
a leak.
Huh?
It's a leak, really.
It's a leak. If you have a leak in your roof on Shabbat, it's dripping. You're allowed to put a bowl to catch the leaking, right? Now, are you used to your house leaking from the roof? No. So once again, it seems like it's a not normal situation. It seems like it's a situation where it's not normal.
It's during the winter, rainy season.
Huh?
It's during rainy season.
Even in the rainy season, it's not normal for you to have dripping in your roof.
New house, it's common
Huh?
for it to break.
So once again, we say it's a new house where your roof wasn't yet tested. And by the way, very often you put up a new roof, and then you come back, oh, it's dripping. Let's call back the roofer to fix up the little part that he did. So that's another one. Okay? Now, we finished trying to transfer. We finished trying to challenge Abaye's. We finished trying to challenge Rabba's opinion. Okay, remember, everything we said up to here was Rabba's opinion of the reason of Rav Chisda. I mean, Rav Chisda is the one that said the things about eggs. Right? Yeah? Okay, Rabba tries to interpret his ruling, and now we challenge Rabba's ruling, and did we succeed in overthrowing Rabba's ruling? No. So now Rabba's ruling, at least for now, holds. Okay, we're going to leave it as is for now. Okay, then we're going to go on, and we're going to have somebody that argues. We'll have Rav Yosef. If you want to go a little ahead, you can go a little ahead. But Rav Yosef is going to have an alternative explanation as to why Rav Chisda said what he said. But I think we're going to leave that for tomorrow, and I think we should have enough time. Where are we up to in this thing? Show me where we're up to. Huh?
19.
What's that? Rabbi Yosef. So Rabbi Yosef, we have another 41. Well, we do have a bit. You know what? I'm going to start out teaching Rabbi Yosef just for a little bit. Today's only Monday. Oh, we have Tuesday. So Tuesday and Wednesday. Yeah, we have enough time. Let's leave Rabbi Yosef for tomorrow. If you want to try to learn him by yourself, then do that. We have some people that I don't know. They're a little bit off over here. At least take off their comments. We don't need to.
They don't see them.
Huh?
Nobody sees them.
Oh, good. Okay. Anyways, as of now, we just finished the general class of Talmud. Now is when we open up completely to questions and answers from our students live here in the yeshiva here in Tzfat, as well as our students learning from far, somewhere, wherever you are. If you put a question in your in the comment, leave him. If you put a question in the comment right now, this is really when we're going to answer your questions. And any question, it doesn't have to be on the topics we were speaking about. It could be any question about Judaism, about politics. If you think you're going to challenge me on politics, you can do that too. Whatever you want, now's the time to do that. You could ask your questions and get an answer live, right? You have to do it somewhat quickly because if we don't get questions, we're going to close the session. Okay, we have Mr. Blind Watchmaker who's been asking some really good questions. Before he says he's going to send a couple of questions. We'll give him a couple seconds to do that. Anyone else here has questions? By the way, Facebook, you can put on Facebook, on YouTube, on Kick. If you put a question, it'll come up on my screen, and we will answer it live. This is your chance. We can only have a few minutes of questions, answers. Anybody in the class have a question, by the way? Don Sadiq, you're like, yes, I have a lot of questions. Well, why don't you say one of them at least? Just give one question. That's it. No, give us a question.
No, I have to go through it and then I'll have
Huh?
I have to go through
Anybody else? Anybody that is watching can ask a question by putting it in the comment. All right.
I have a question.
At the righteous people. I'm not sure exactly what this question says. I will ask a question concerned about our representation about as a righteous people. I'm not sure what that means. Does anybody understand what the question is? Maybe explain it a little better.
He needs to.
Huh?
He needs to ask the question in a more clear
Yeah,
way.
I think we need a little bit more clarity on that question. All right? So, okay, it says we do warfare, and that's my question. Okay, we keep pushing the borders. So first of all, I think we do warfare. I don't know about pushing the borders. I think that the Bible has very clear borders of Israel, and those borders, we're not going to push further than those borders of Israel, right? Not only that is, I don't think we're pushing the borders. I think there is a false narrative, a fake news out there that Israel somehow is pushing the borders. It's actually the exact opposite. Ever since Israel began, our borders were always shrinking. The only time we ever expanded the borders was when we were attacked, and
Six-Day War.
The military, they basically made an assessment that the only way that we can properly protect ourselves is with larger borders. That's why we took over the Golan Heights. That's why we took over the entire Sinai Desert. The whole Sinai Desert.
Six-Day War, when the entire Arab world attacked us to try to annihilate us.
So we were attacked, and we had to defend ourselves, and there was no other option. And by the way, if you ask me, I spoke earlier in this class about this, and if anybody didn't hear it, you can definitely go back and watch it. We have it. It's going to be up on YouTube and Facebook, and the Kick, I think they leave it on for a couple of days as well. Yeah. But I basically explained that the Jewish people are prohibited from fighting a war for land. We're not allowed to do that. It is prohibited by the Torah to fight a war for land. What we are allowed to fight a war is for self-defense. And within that, if we think that taking over land is the only way we can defend ourselves, then we are not only could we do that, but we're obligated to do that. And as a matter of fact, there's a very interesting point that a lot of people made in the past, is that what would happen right now if the enemies of Israel would put down their arms and say, you know what, we're not attacking Israel? What would happen? Peace, because Israel wouldn't do anything. Israel would not only, we would not be allowed to. We're morally banned from fighting for any other reason but in self-defense. So the second that Israel stops being attacked, Israel will not allowed to be attacked. We will not allow to attack anymore. Okay, the only reason Israel is allowed to attack anybody is when they clearly and intentionally pose a threat to Israel. Right? I know you say recent past we went to Lebanon and killed a guy. Yeah, but that guy's been shooting rockets. He's been shooting rockets at Israel, including at me. He shot at me. I'm telling you right here in Tzfat, missiles landed. Within the last few months, missiles landed here more than one time. It even killed a woman here in the city. A woman was killed, it was about 4 months ago, I think it was. A woman was killed right here in Tzfat by a missile that landed from the same guy that Israel tried to kill. Now, again, if you try to attack us, we're obligated to defend ourselves, okay? So if you want to make peace in the Middle East, the first thing is you have to realize that Israel is constantly being attacked by radical religionists who believe that the Jewish people, by definition, shouldn't exist anywhere on the face of the earth. And happens to be that because we're in Israel, they want to attack us in Israel, but most of the Jews are in Israel, so therefore they try to attack Israel. But it has nothing to do. It's a big mistake. It's a big mistake to think that this is a land war. This is not a land war. There is no sincere land dispute here in Israel. There's no such thing. It doesn't exist. It's a made-up thing that was made up by various powers. They made up the fact that there's a land dispute here because they wanted to, legitimize their stupidity and their religious worry, their religious anti-Jewish hate has caused them to try to legitimize themselves by making this false narrative of some type of land dispute. There is no land dispute in Israel, okay? It doesn't exist. And people say that there is because it legitimizes their will to kick the Jews out. There's no real legitimate land dispute here in Israel. It doesn't exist.
By the way, all the land that was got in the Six-Day War, the border with Egypt that was expanded into the desert, and then what are now the Golan Heights, we got more land up into Lebanon, right? And Jordan during the 6 Day War.
Yeah.
We gave all that back with the Arab countries in order for them for peace. We just gave the land away.
Which I think was a stupid
the
idea as
buffer
well,
zone
but
to
let's not
Egypt,
get into
the
that.
buffer zone to Lebanon and Jordan. We gave it all back to them for peace. And what did they do? They used that land to build weapon installations to shoot at us and
So-
to attack us.
So I want to basically say, I want to say something very important that I think is something that people need to know. Okay, I'm not actually a big opponent of giving back land for peace, because I think what happens is that they attack us and then they force us to take over land in order to defend ourselves, and then they're like, oh well, worst comes to worst, we'll just say that we're going to make peace and then give it to us back, and then 20 years later we'll attack you again. And unfortunately, that's what's happening. I think that if you ask me, one of the most important things in the Middle East is respect. Okay, and when you lose a piece of land, it's actually this breach of respect, and that's really what happens over here. And that's why they get so angry when we take a piece of land, even though it's their fault, because it's like disrespects them. It shows how weak they are, right? Now, I think that it needs to be some form of a punishment, that people need to know that your punishment for attacking the Jews is that you lose a piece of land, and that for eternity you will lose respect in the eyes of everybody else, because you're going to look like an idiot because you attacked us and then we took your land. And I think that that's actually something that we should do, and we should maintain the land, and I don't believe in giving it back. Unfortunately, the government over here at certain points to try to do that, and if you ask me, in every single situation it was an epic failure for one reason or another. I know people say Jordan actually, we didn't give them back any land, right? And Egypt, that we did give back land, we still suffered tremendously in this Gaza war, because if we didn't give back that land, we could have moved a lot of the population into the Sinai Desert. And because we didn't have the Sinai Desert, that is one of the reasons why hundreds of innocent people had to die trying to fight. By the way, on the Arab side as well, because Gaza is so squeezed and they have no right. The Egyptians don't let them move into the Sinai Desert, so many of them get killed as well. So even the Arabs are getting killed. The Arabs and the Jews are getting killed because we gave back the Sinai Desert. If we didn't give back the Sinai Desert, we could have relocated a lot of the peaceful Arabs. We could have located them to places away from Hamas control, and then they wouldn't be getting killed when we have to, unfortunately, when we're forced to fight with Hamas. Unfortunately, sometimes they get killed, and they're getting killed because we gave back the Sinai Desert. If we would have had the Sinai Desert, a lot less people would have died in this conflict. So I think that generally it is a horrible catastrophe that we've ever given back land. I think that needs to be a punishment. If you attack us and you force us to take over a piece of land, you have to know that we're going to keep it, and that's that. And again, that's not taking over. That's not hostile takeover of land, because we didn't decide to take over the land in a hostile way. That is that you forced us to take over the land because you threatened our lives. And now, once we have the piece of land, we should say, okay, well, then now that's our piece of land. And again, maintaining land is very different than taking it.
Are we the only country to ever give back land freely?
I think we are one of the few countries in the world that actually gave back land that was taken in a war, definitely that quickly. Definitely that quickly. Yeah. And it has to do with the fact that the Jewish nation, let me tell you something interesting. The Jewish nation, for 2 millennia, did not really have a national government. Since we didn't have a national government, like in our brains, we very often, in our own brains, there's a bit of a defeatist mentality that the Jews have, but there's also that we have this ideology of peace and love, which Jews always had, right? We have this ideology of peace and love. We don't properly understand how to maintain a government control over a piece of land, and therefore we were like, oh, for peace and love, we'll give you back a piece of land. And we don't realize how stupid that is from a strategic point of view until we have another war. Now that Israel had another war and another war and another war, slowly Israel's learning that we have to use different strategies in order to maintain control, maintain our toughness, maintain our, what's it called when we prevent other people from attacking us? Deterrence. We have to figure out better deterrence, because if you ask me, Israel sucks at that. We're really good at bombing and killing people. I hate to say it, but we're good at that. We can kill the person in the middle of Iran. We can go there and kill one guy, without harming anybody else, by the way, which is amazing. We basically went into Iran in the middle of a massive city. We killed one guy, actually I think, and his bodyguards, so 2 guys, but they were both terrorists, right? in a massive city with hundreds of people, we know how to kill exactly that guy and no one else. We're very good at that. But Israel is struggling in the concept of human psychology on how to convince our enemies not to fight us. They suck at that. They're horrible at that, and it's unfortunate. Anyways, I don't know how we got into that. Let's continue. Yeah. Anything else? I got somebody who's trying to call me like 3 times already. Should I answer them or should I continue this? Well, if anybody puts on a question within the next 5 seconds, we might deal with it.
How come Israel has 6 medals?
In America, we call it the war of the hearts and minds. Well, I hate to break this to you, Mr. Texas, but America sucks at the game too. We just took over Iran and Afghanistan, and we tried to win the war of hearts and minds, and we failed. We lost both of those wars.
Iraq and Afghanistan.
Both Iraq and Afghanistan both hate us, and we're not there anymore either. So again, it's unfortunate that that America as well as Israel, we both. By the way, there's a similarity. We both have a very strong moral code. We also both have a very strong army, right? But we cannot necessarily figure out how to take barbarians and rehabilitate them into normal human beings. It's very, very far.
You can't.
Yeah. Huh?
You can't.
You could. I think there are ways to do it. I think we haven't figured it out. I think one of the biggest problems, both with Israel, if you ask me, I think one of the biggest problems with Israel as well as America is that, unfortunately, both Israel and America have accepted this stupidity called secularism, which basically is a godless perspective on reality. Okay, now secularism sucks. It's horrible. It destroys the human mind from within, and it kills the soul of whoever is involved in it. And you can see in America with some of the stupidities going on campus, right? It's all based on the secular idea, how somehow we're going to figure out everything. There needs to be a clear recognition that there is a higher power. Okay, call it God, call it whatever you want. Okay, but at the end of the day, there's a higher power, a single, one central higher power that is controlling everything. Okay, now if we work on trying to understand that power instead of trying to create that power, we would do a lot better. And I think America really lost the war in Afghanistan because they're looking at it from a secular perspective. We're going to give them food. We're going to give them drink. We're going to give them a democratic government. Well, why would they want a democratic government? Why would they want food and drink if their perspective on spirituality is that anybody that's not like them gets killed? Now, we need to deal with this. We need to deal with rehabilitating, I wouldn't say Muslims as a whole, but I would say certain Muslims that have got into their head that their whole religion is about killing anybody that's not them. We have to figure out how to get into their mind and explain to them how stupid they are from God's perspective, not from a human perspective, humanity's perspective. No, we have to get into their minds, into their brains, and explain to them that I don't know what their books say because I haven't read them, but we have to somehow convince them that God is not a person that wants people to go killing people, right? That's not what God wants, right? And if we can get into their mind and explain to them from God's perspective that that's not what God wants, and perhaps, by the way, again, I'm not suggesting I would do that, but somebody maybe should read the Quran very, very well and try to figure out ways to explain to them that their own teachings is against what they're doing, right? And that's the only real way to win their hearts and their mind is to get to their God complex, which is actually the central core of the human brain. The central core of the human brain is your connectivity to the higher power. Okay, everything else is garbage. You're going to tell them, we're going to give them food, we're going to give them this. They don't care. They're killing their kids for God. They're sending their kids to blow themselves up in suicide bombings. There's no way you're going to take these people and try to somehow convince them that you're going to give them a cheeseburger sandwich and then all of a sudden they're going to be nice. It's not going to happen. You have to get into their brains. You have to get into the God part of their brains and show them how their own God hates their guts for doing such horrible things. That's what we need to do. We need to convince these radical terrorists that anybody that participates in violence for any other reason than self-defense, literal self-defense, right? And even when they're engaging in self-defense, they're doing so with extreme caution. Okay, anyone else is horrible people, and God hates what they're doing, and eventually, at some point, they're going to get utterly destroyed by God Himself. And God has a lot of different messengers that He's going to use, and one of them is going to take the guy out, and that's that. Yeah. What's that? Anything else? I don't know how we got into that, but yeah. Anything interesting you think we should mention? Again, anybody online, if you want to ask another question, you could put that in the comments and we'll get it.
If you finish smicha.
Did I finish smicha?
Yeah.
Of course I finished smicha. I give smicha. This is yeshiva. We actually do smicha here. If you want, by the way, anybody online, if you're looking for a good yeshiva, you should get a hold of me. We have a beautiful yeshiva here. You could even come to my class live. Okay? Live, you could come learn from us. And in our Yeshiva Temimei Darech in the holy city of Tzfat. And you could even get rabbinic ordination. That's actually one of our programs here. You even saw some of the guys from our rabbinic ordination over here that they liked my class so much they stepped out of their studies to listen to me over here. And he hides from me because he thinks I don't see him, but I do. And whatever, if he's enjoying the class, well, you know, he'll have to catch up the material anyways. That's just his what he's going to have to do.
That's why we have summer break, Rabbi.
Huh?
So we got a break in the summer. Yeah, summer homework.
Yeah, all right. We're going to close down the chat if no one else asks any question that we feel is worth answering. If anybody else wants to throw something in just before we go, we're going to make a countdown. Wow, we went late. Wow, this is really late. This is a long one.
It's a long one.
Woo!
1 hour and 10 minutes.
And I know how to.
Make it 111 for the Rebbe.
111?
Yeah.
All right. We're going to make our countdown for anybody else. By the way, before you leave, you absolutely must hit subscribe. If you're on YouTube, subscribe and the bell to make sure you get all the notifications. Okay, if you're on YouTube, that's if you're on YouTube, sorry. If you're on Facebook, you should share it right away. Go right now before you forget. Hit share and share this with all your friends. If you are in groups, share it in your groups. Make sure people get this discussion, which is going to bring new insight and powerful ideas to their brains. Whether they understand the Gamara or they understand everything besides the Gamara that we spoke about, it's all fine. We love you guys. Thank you for coming. I'll give you a kiss. Mwah. Anyone else? That's that. We're going to start.